here we go.
So most villains suck. And you know it. They're forgettable, cartoony, or evil for no reason. They're not scary, they're not interesting, they're just there. Today I'm going to show you exactly why most villains fail, and how you can write a villain who actually matters. One people remember long after the story is over. Let's get into it. Why do most villains fail? First reason, they have no soul. Writers make them evil just to be evil. They kick puppies, they kill civilians, and they blow up planets. But we don't care, because cruelty isn't character, cruelty is cheap. Real villains, great villains, they don't see themselves as villains at all. They think they're the hero. And when you forget that, you write a bad guy nobody fears, nobody loves, and nobody remembers. The why behind the villain. Let's break it down. A weak villain wants power, or revenge, or destruction. That's it, no layers. A great villain has a philosophy, a reason, a work belief system that makes sense to them. They're not trying to destroy the world, they're trying to save it, but on their terms. That's why villains like Killmonger in Black Panther hit hard. He's not wrong about the injustice he sees. His anger is real, but his methods are brutal, and that conflict, that complexity, that's what makes him powerful. So I want to show some examples of bad villains. And we've seen some truly terrible ones lately. Think about some of the Marvel bad guys who barely even got a name. Or the villain in Rise of Skywalker, Palpatine, just back from the dead for no reason. And just because they reused a good villain does not mean it was a good villain, because in that movie he wasn't. In the prequels he was, in the sequels, in the original song he was, not the sequel. There was no build-up, there was no personal connection. He was just evil because the movie needed a final boss. With villains, they're just plot devices, audience checking. So what does a great villain actually do? What makes a villain truly great? They challenge the hero. They mirror the hero. They force the hero to change or be destroyed. A great villain isn't an obstacle. They're the answer to the hero's worst fear, the reflection of the hero's darkest possibility. Look at Darth Vader, one of the greatest villains ever written. He's not just a scary guy in a mask, he's Luke's possible future.
You knew the power of the dark side. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
That's the temptation. That's the fear. Look at the Joker in The Dark Knight. He doesn't want to kill Batman. He wants to prove that Batman is just like him, that everybody is. These villains don't just attack the hero's body, they attack their soul. So a step-by-step guide on how to build a great villain. Here is the blueprint. Give them a real philosophy. Even if it's twisted, it has to make sense.
What do you believe in, huh? What do you believe in?
I believe whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger.
Killmonger, Thanos, Magneto. Connect them to your hero. Make them personal. Family, history, ideology, betrayal. There has to be emotional stakes. Make them believe they're the good guy. No mustache twirling, no cartoon evil. They have a cause they would die for. And you have to let them win sometimes. Make your hero lose and make it hurt. Otherwise, there's no fear. Okay, so there's a few traps that almost every bad villain falls into. Making them evil for no reason, lazy writing. Giving them no personal connection to the hero, it's just a boss fight, nobody cares. Making them weak. A villain shouldn't exist to make your hero look good. They should exist to make your hero earn it. If your villain isn't scary, then your hero's victory means nothing. So here is the real secret to writing a villain. And it's empathy. If you can make the audience feel the villain's pain, even just for a second, you've got them. We don't love Darth Vader because he's powerful. We love him because he's broken. We see the man inside the machine, and when the prequels came out and we got that context, we loved him because he was a character we loved, but had gone to the dark side, and we just wanted him to come back. Empathy doesn't mean excusing what they do. It means understanding why they do it. So I'm going to go over some villains who nailed it. Thanos wanted to save the universe at a horrible cost, but we understood because he saw his planet destroyed by overpopulation. Vader became what he feared because he was trying to protect what he loved. Vader's problem wasn't that he loved too much, it was that he was afraid to let go, and that was mirrored by Yoda saying,
Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Killmonger wanted justice, but at the price of innocence. Hans Landa was charm hiding pure evil who just wanted to hunt down the Jewish people. And Gollum was like an addict. You know, there was tragedy there, there was horror there, we felt bad for Gollum. But examples of villains who didn't work out. The Marvel villains with no soul. The random sequel villains with no setup. And anyone whose only motivation is destroy the world because evil. That's not what villains are about. They're about conflict. Truth against truth, pain against pain. You want to write a villain who wins. Stop thinking about how scary they are. Start thinking about how human they are. Some of the best villains go through the same situations as the protagonist but chose a different route. And we go back to the same trope. But storytelling is choices. Characters are the result of choices. And plot is what happens because of those choices. The best villains aren't monsters, they're mirrors. And if you build them right, the hero's journey will matter more than ever.